signs of drug use, and how to address it. Let's start off by defining addiction. Merriam-Webster defines addiction as a compulsive, chronic, physiological, or psychological need for a habit-forming substance, behavior, or activity having harmful physical, psychological, or social effects, and typically causing well-defined symptoms such as anxiety, irritability, tremors, or nausea upon withdrawal or abstinence. So, what might addiction look like for teens? One of the first things you're going to want to look for as a parent is changes to normal habits. A change in your teen's regular habits may be one of the first things you notice. However, these changes are often the easiest to blow off because they seem like isolated events. Watch out for these key signs of drug abuse in teenagers: new cravings, an increased appetite, or sudden lack of appetite, a change in friend groups, complaints from teachers about misbehavior, sudden drop or change in grades. Changes in the physical appearance will vary depending on what substance an individual is using, and it may be harder to spot. Look out for bloodshot eyes, unexplained bruises or wounds, track marks on the arms, long sleeves in hot weather when they usually wear short sleeves, flushed cheeks, carelessness about their personal hygiene, or a disheveled appearance, soot on their fingertips or lips, shaking or tremors, an unusual smell on their clothing or breath. They may chew gum or eat mints to mask it, nosebleeds or a runny nose without a cold, and constant licking of the lips. You can also watch out for secretive behavior. Some people are more withdrawn and introverted by nature, and this may be normal for your child. But when an extrovert starts getting quiet or an introvert withdraws even further, it's time to take a closer look. Here are some behaviors you may recognize: going out at night or disappearing for long periods of time, locking doors, avoiding eye contact, stealing, missing class, extracurricular activities, or work. And you may look for changes in the home. Some things stand out as a blatant sign that something is wrong, such as finding a hidden stash of drugs or alcohol. But sometimes the signs are a bit more subtle. Keep an eye out for unusual changes to your home environment, such as containers or wrappers you don't recognize, drug paraphernalia like smoking devices, eye drops, butane lighters, syringes, dents in the car that can't be explained, missing prescription drugs, over-the-counter medicines, or alcohol. According to the High School Youth Risk Behavior Survey in 2019, 38.5% of high school students in West Virginia have tried smoking a cigarette at least once. 62.4% of high school students in West Virginia have tried electronic vapor devices or products. 30% of high school students in West Virginia have drank alcohol in the past 30 days. And 16.4% of high school students in West Virginia admit to currently binge drinking at least 4 or more alcohol drinks in a row. 18.9% of high school students in West Virginia currently use marijuana. And 23.9% of high school students in West Virginia were offered, sold, or given an illegal drug on school property. So, are they using drugs or are they just growing up? A really good question. While you may view your child as still young, they're probably already encountering some very adult situations. Some of this is natural and healthy as they learn to operate in the real world, but some is definitely not. Remember that many of the behaviors associated with those substances, think moodiness, changing friend groups, and poor dressing, can also be a part of just going through young adulthood. As a parent or guardian, you may be the only person able to notice something serious going on behind the scenes. This list that we just outlined is meant as a guidance tool and not a diagnosis. What should you do if you suspect drug use in your teen? Ask questions directly. Before you make an accusation, ask them. Give them a chance to explain the situation. Don't be afraid to ask the simple but very difficult questions, such as, are you using drugs? What drugs have you used exactly? Have you had alcohol? Be prepared for what you're going to say if they tell you that they have been using. No matter how much you may want to believe they are totally clean, you have to be prepared so that you don't let your emotions dictate the reaction. You'll want to set or reaffirm boundaries. If your child is using drugs or alcohol, the first step is to make some real changes in their lifestyle. If they have a driver's license, it may be important to take their driving rights away. The only reason we say that is because in 2019, 17% of high school students nationwide reported driving with a driver who had been drinking at least once during the past month, and 5% of high school students nationwide reported driving after drinking alcohol at least once in the past month. Next, you'll want to get help. If your teen is addicted to drugs or alcohol, they will likely need assistance detoxing from the substance. Some substances, such as alcohol, can be painful and even deadly to attempt to withdraw from without a doctor's support. After detox, a treatment program can help them learn about recovery and take control of their life again. Repeated drinking or drug use physically changes the brain, and sometimes willpower isn't enough to overcome an addiction. And if you need it, know that support is available. Substance abuse counselors can provide information and advice for loved ones, such as referrals to local intervention providers and support groups that are focused on codependency issues. Substance abuse hotlines are not a substitute for 911 and other emergency services, but the professionals who work in them are generally experienced in talking with people in a crisis. You can reach out to the National Drug Helpline at 1-844-289-0879, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 8255. Partnership for Drug-Free Kids at 1-855-378-4373, or SAMHSA's national hotline at 1-800-662-HELP. That's 4357. To learn more about Mission West Virginia or our Healthy Relationships curriculum, visit missionwv.org.